Aloha! My name is Darren Lerner, and I am the director of the University of Hawaiʻi Sea Grant College Program, otherwise known as Hawaiʻi Sea Grant. Hawaiʻi Sea Grant supports an innovative program of research, education, and extension services directed toward the improved understanding and stewardship of coastal and marine resources of the state, region, and nation. This is Hawaiʻi Sea Grant Podcast number 8, Microbial Mechanisms.
Aloha, my name is Rachel, and I'm a communications specialist at Hawaiʻi Sea Grant. Welcome to our 321 podcast. This podcast features research supported by Hawaiʻi Sea Grant. Each episode highlights a new project and the people that make that project possible. I'll ask these researchers to define 3 words commonly used in their research, give them 2 minutes to explain how their research benefits communities here in Hawaii, and end by asking them to provide one thing they know about each other than their research. So, 3 words, 2 minutes, and 1 thing. It's a 321 podcast. We're learning about lokoʻia, or Hawaiian fish ponds, in this podcast, specifically microbial mechanisms on the bottom of lokoʻia. Here to share her research is Kiana Frank. Let's start by introducing yourself.
Aloha mai kākou. My name is Kiana Frank. I'm a local girl from Kailua, and I'm an assistant professor with the Pacific Biosciences Research Center at the University of Hawaii at Manoa.
So, 3 words you use a lot in your research are sedimentation, microbes, and hehi, a Hawaiian word. Can you explain what these words mean?
So one of the top problems that fish pond practitioners face is sedimentation. Sedimentation is basically the accumulation of mud in a space that is designed to grow fish. Now, our project is based at Kalokoʻia o Kiholo on the Kona side of the Big Island. And there, sediment is caused by leaf litter basically decomposing in their fish pond. Now, sedimentation is a big problem because it sucks down a lot of the oxygen and it removes a lot of the natural substrate that fish need in order to grow.
I would think it would also kind of make things murky and
murky.
Gross.
It's not supposed to be there traditionally, and it's really hard to get rid of. So dredging is expensive and you need permits. Shoveling it is very labor intensive, and there's a lot of mud in these ponds. If you were to catch it all up, it could fill an entire Olympic swimming pool.
Ooh.
So is there an easier way to get rid of these? And so we thought, what if we could actually activate microbes?
And microbes are?
So microbes are these tiny, tiny unicellular organisms that eat carbon, breathe things, fart, and poop. And what if we could activate these microbes to eat the mud faster?
Uh-huh.
And so one of the ways that our kupuna used to traditionally manage fish ponds is they would employ this technique called hehi hehi. Hehi hehi means to stomp or to mix or to agitate something, and they would physically go out and hehi hehi the sediment in a fish pond. And so we thought that perhaps this traditional management practice worked because of that hehi hehi increased the amount of oxygen in the mud, allowing the microbes in the mud to decompose and remove that sediment faster. And so what we're trying to do is utilize these traditional mechanisms that our ancestor used in managing these ponds, try to understand why they worked so that we could potentially apply and innovate them to work today. And we think that if we build our contemporary management strategies that are synergistic with some of these natural microbial processes, we can actually create more cost-efficient, energy-saving mechanisms to help restore a healthy, thriving fish pond ecosystem.
Tell me in 2 minutes or less how your research benefits the communities here in Hawaii.
So traditionally, there used to be around 488 fish ponds across the state of Hawaii, and it was estimated that they could produce about 2 million pounds of fish per year.
Wow.
And so as we're trying to move towards food security, these fish ponds are a great mechanism in order to do that.
Yeah.
But they're plagued by sediment. In so many of our fish ponds across the state, there's just these sedimentation problems. And so we're trying to investigate some novel, innovative, ancient practices that may help us move towards developing and restoring functional fish ponds.
And you're working with the community members to do this, right?
Yeah, and so, we're in Kiholo, and we have so much aloha for that aina of Kiholo, the kupuna, the kiaʻi that manage this space. We're working with Hui Aloha Kiholo, which is an organization devoted to the cultural preservation and restoration of that area, as well as the Nature Conservancy.
Well, that's a wrap, but before we go, we want to ask you, what's one thing we should know about you other than your research, Kiana?
So I think science is very exciting. And one thing that I do to share that and make it relevant to communities is I have a science culture dance series that you can find on YouTube. It's called #BossDanceFriends, where we really just try to connect the science to the mo'olelo and the stories and history of the places that we live.
And the dance and the music.
Through dance and music. Yep, traditional ways of learning.
Wonderful. Well, we'll be sure to hit a link for that along with this podcast. So thank you for sharing that. Stay tuned for our next podcast, and mahalo for listening. Aloha.
Oh, aloha. Ahoy-ho.
This Hawaii Sea Grant 321 podcast featured 3 songs: Happiness by bensound.com, Ukulele by bensound.com, and Cute by bensound.com. Find them on iTunes and bensound.com.